Guys, I think I've been sleeping on something this whole entire time. Oh my god, it was a keyboard? Wait, two of them? Howdy hey, I'm Hipyo Tech, and I look at keyboards so you don't have to. And in my quest to find the best budget keyboard, I had a thought. What if it wasn't budget? But also, what if it wasn't super expensive? And that brings me to this. In this video, I'm finally looking at some keyboards from QWERTY Keys, the QK101 and QK80 MK2. I'll be building them out with some, oh my god, are those buttery switches? And some anime keycaps. And along the way, I'll be telling you why you might want to still build a keyboard in 2025. But also, I'll give you a couple reasons why you might not want to, because some things aren't that different, and you might be able to save some money. Now, full disclosure, this video is sponsored by QWERTY Keys. However, when working with keyboard brands, they can't tell me what to say, they can't review my video before I upload, and all of my thoughts are my own. Now, for all of you that feel incredibly left out by my lack of numpad content, I will be looking at the QK101 first. And this is Nola, who's also looking at it. Now, QWERTY Keys has a history of making really good keyboards, and I've even tried their QK65 before, which I did absolutely love. The QK101 has a very nice carrying case, which I love that color, and an accessory box. It comes with a coiled cable, which, not that nice, some stabilizers, which, won't be using, and a keycap and switch puller, as well as a screwdriver, which is helpful. Now, one thing I really like about this keyboard is that the purchasing process gives you a lot of different options. Like, you get a ton of different colors, you get the option of having a Windows key or not, but then we hit our first con. And the price starts at $240 US. Also, it's a pre-order, which if you're ordering it before January 20th, that means you'll get it within a couple weeks. But if you order it after January 20th, then you won't get it until the end of February or March. So you can expect at minimum a month or two wait. Speaking of weight though, this thing is remarkably hefty, and I definitely see the fact that it feels more premium than some of the other cheaper boards that I've looked at. Personally, I really love this blue color, and I think this whole entire case looks absolutely beautiful, albeit a little bit like a Matrix keyboard. But then check this out. Oh, it has a butt. I don't know why that's surprising. Literally, like, almost everybody has a butt. No, Hipyo, wrong butt. That butt. Yo, it's a mirror that's gonna get fingerprints on it the moment I touch it. Let's go. Now, for those of you that are like, this keyboard is too long, I need something smaller, don't worry, I'll be checking out the QK80 V2 later in this video. But this thing is quite long and also incredibly gorgeous. I mean, look at that weight. It also has a lot of lovely little touches like these removable little bloop blops and this removable badge where it keeps the 2.4 gigahertz dongle, because yes, this thing does have wireless, although I can't actually test it because I didn't get the wireless PCB in time. Now, what I'm really excited for is that a lot of really premium keyboards have new magnetic clasp features, so you can just open the case and close the case really easy and modify it super great. And obviously, because this keyboard's expensive, it's gonna have that. And why is it not opening? Oh wait, are those screws? Oh no. Yeah, so unfortunately, they opted for a screw closure on this case, although you might see later in this video that that's for its benefit, because this thing will sound absolutely incredible. Now, if you're brand new to keyboards, you're probably wondering, but why would you want to mod it and take it apart? Well, this thing is bare bones, meaning that you need to build it yourself. This is amazingly cool if it's your first keyboard, because it means you get to choose what you want to put in your keyboard. Your own keycaps, your own switches, your own stabilizers, like these pre-lubed plate mount stabilizers, which I will be testing and will be incredibly impressed by. That's spoilers, Hipyo. Why are you doing that? Now, back in my day, we had to take these PCB mount stabilizers fully apart, smother them in lube, and then be really sad that we're not smothering other things in lube. Anyways, the pre-lubed plate mount stabilizers are pretty cool, and we're going to be using those. If you're new to keyboards and don't know what stabilizers are, they keep your big keys stable and not rattly and sounding really good. And then you put them into your board like this. There you go. There's some B-roll. Congratulations. Okay, now most of that up till now has been really standard, and here's where I start to get really excited. This is an FR4 plate with foam already attached to it. Now, if you know anything about me, I love foam. Also, there's an aluminum plate. I'm not going to talk about that. Boring. Lame. I love foam. So the moment they told me there's foam attached to this plate, I was instantly intrigued. Like, is this going to ruin the whole experience? Are switches going to get stuck in the foam? Can I still put stabilizers in? The answer is yes. I am incredibly excited to see how this thing is going to turn out sound and feel-wise, because they've already done my job for me. I could kind of just sit here and make silly, dumb little jokes and also put more foam on the PCB. The one thing I do really like about this board is that it has a ton of different foam options, and you could potentially use none of them and it would still sound pretty good. Although you couldn't really remove the foam from the plate, that would kind of be, yeah, don't do that. Oh, also, it has a really cool screen, but we'll be talking about that more later because it's not turned on right now. Now, before we build the QK101, there's a couple important different things to note about the QK80 MK2, which is the other QK board recently released. Now, this board is less keyboard, and it's also less price at $209 US starting price. And what is magnetic like that? It's just magnets? Well, yeah, for some reason, on this cheaper, smaller board, which, I mean, it's still a decent mid-range board, they opted for the magnetic closure and also leaf spring gaskets. What? So if you don't care about a numpad, but you do care about learning how to modify your keyboard, this could be an interesting option for you. Granted, it's also competing with boards that do a similar thing for a lot cheaper, like the Bridge 75 or the RD 75 that come fully pre-built for cheaper. Now granted, those boards don't come with QWERTY keys branding, so... Anyways, I'm going to be building these two keyboards in different ways. So this keyboard, I'm going to be using these clip-in stabilizers, which I will have to lube by myself, and these interesting little nub gaskets. Something you'll also notice is that these two boards are going to turn out vastly different despite being made by the same people. And if you're new to keyboards, I think this will be a very interesting display of how different keyboards can be, except for the screen. That's basically the same on this one. It's also really cool. Now, the QK80 MK2 is also a pre-order, so you need to be very careful when you're ordering it to look when the fulfillment time is, because it could be like 1 to 4 weeks, or it could be a couple months if they sell a ton of these things. Now, I have the spray-coated red version, and wow, the spray coating is absolutely gorgeous. I love that speckle, I love that sparkle, and look, it's another 2.4 gigahertz dongle storage. Now, I just wanted to show both QWERTY keys keyboards, so I'm not going to go over all the differences here, but some of the main differences are the rapid disassembly with the magnets, the leaf spring gasket, and the fact that the size is different. But there's also some other things. But with these stabilizers lubed and installed, it's time to build 2 different keyboards and get 2 interesting results. I recommend you stick around. Now, first, for the QK101, I'm using these butter switches that I got from Kinetic Labs. The fact that it's a little butter guy and that they call it buttery, I'm sold. I'm instantly sold. Also, full disclosure, I like these so much that I said, hey, Kinetic Labs, I sell some of your products on Hipyo.co. Can I also sell these? And they said, yeah, sure. So they're linked down below. When you buy them from Hipyo.co, you're literally buying them directly from Kinetic Labs. So there you go. These are just custom branded HMX linear switches, which HMX linear switches are already some of my new favorites, but they look buttery. And because you think of butter, they sound instantly more buttery. It's a placebo effect, but I love the placebo. Give me it, yum yum. Now, because I don't know how to count, I had to replace some of the switches on the right, but don't look at that. Pretend that you also can't count. Now, if you're new to keyboards and you think building a keyboard is incredibly daunting and incredibly scary, then QWERTY Keys also does have a really good build guide available for this thing that you can follow. Unlike me. With the QK101, you can choose to build it gasket mount or top mount, and you can also use these little gasket sleeves and flip them to have either more gasket or less gasket. I'm opting for the less gasket here because I'm already building a leaf spring board. Why would I need more gasket? Top mount will give you a way more solid typing feel, and gasket will give you a slightly more dampened and less reverby typing feel. Now, overall, the gasket performance on this board is nothing to write home about, but that's probably not why you're buying it. You're probably buying it for the numpad or maybe the cute aesthetics, or maybe even the screen. Now, one of my main gripes is that the hardware on and off switch is below the caps lock when they really just should have stuck it somewhere on the keyboard or maybe under the case or, I don't know, just done something kind of better, maybe even on the screen. But once we put all the switches in, it was time to close up the case and use a little bit of screws. Speaking of screws, look at, I didn't have a good segue. Just look at the screen. It starts with an S. There's my segue. Now, I didn't have access to the software, but the screen is really pretty, and we'll talk about it more in just a minute. For the QK80 V2, I decided to use some random lubed linear switches that I had laying around. That is a lot of L's. They sounded pretty nice. They felt pretty nice. There's lots of other generic linear switches similar to them, so, you know, I'm just trying to get rid of them. However, with the incredibly buttery HMX switches, I'm expecting the QK101 to sound delightful. And guys, it's been a minute since I built a keyboard by myself. I missed it so much. I missed building keyboards. Everything's a pre-built nowadays. Speaking of which, what keycaps am I going to use? Also, I did take the last 2 months off, so take a look at that video that I released in the top right. Well, at first, I thought I was going to use 8008 blue, but that didn't work because there was no numpad in that kit. And then I decided on JTK Night Sakura, which is a very pretty keycap set that I have no idea where I got this from. I also put the rest of the foams in the case because I am going with a fully foamed build here. I love foam, alright, it's preference, deal with it. Next, with the keycaps on, my keyboard is fully built. Like, that's it. I built a keyboard. Congratulations, you built a keyboard in 2025. It's really, really easy, and then you can swap out the badges. For the QK80 V2, I decided to opt for these Demon Slayer Team Liquid keycaps that they sent me. I don't watch Demon Slayer, and I just honestly thought that they fit the vibe of this board, which I realized that they don't because the colors on them are way different than the box, but I'm already too committed. I already opened the box, so you know what? I'm putting them on. I also wanted to see the difference between using a double shot keycap and a die sub style keycap, and these are die sub, which tend to be a lot cheaper. With a little bit of magic, I had the full board assembled, and building the QK80 V2 was a lot quicker because of its rapid disassembly due to the magnets. A huge benefit to it as well is that you can decide how much foam you want really easily, because you can remove some foam, do a typing test, put some foam in, do a typing test, figure out what feels better and sounds better a lot quicker than on the QK101. But what do I think of QWERTY Keys keyboards in 2025? Well, it's quite interesting. I think these boards are absolutely incredible, albeit still kind of expensive. $240 for a bare bones keyboard is nothing to scoff at. Like, especially considering you have to buy the keycaps and the switches. However, the build quality of this thing is nothing to scoff at, and it left me incredibly happy aside from the mirror finish that gets fingerprints on it. The QK80 V2 is actually where I start to run into some issues because you've reached the smaller form factor where there's a lot more competition. You've got stuff like the RD75, the Bridge 75, many other things that kind of give it a run for its money because they're doing almost the same exact thing, except for not having a screen, which screens are cool, but for quite a bit cheaper once all is said and done. And then once you loop in the fact that both of these are pre-orders, that adds another layer of concern. Like, sometimes pre-orders take a lot longer than you think they're gonna. They're not easily in stock, so you can't just buy them and use the keyboard that you purchased. So I hope that gives you a lot to think about. These keyboards are absolutely super cool. They're great options if you want to build your first keyboard and if you like this aesthetic because they are really cool. The screens give you some really nice options like this bongo cat that taps along whenever you're typing. I absolutely love him. Protect him at all costs. But yeah, does it do anything that sets it apart super crazy that I think this is the most revolutionary thing ever? No, but this could definitely be your first custom keyboard.